are listening to the Badass is the New Black podcast, episode number 6, where I teach you how to leverage the online world to find more customers that turn into sales so you can build a badass business, allowing you more time for the things you love. I'm your host, Chrissy Chin. What if I told you that you did not need to master every single online platform to build a massive audience of ideal customers that would generate a ton more in sales for your business? In this episode, I get to talk with Graham Cochrane, a business coach, YouTuber, host of the Graham Cochrane Show podcast, the founder of The Recording Revolution, a once no-name blog turned 7-figure business that requires less than 5 hours a week of work. He lives in Tampa, Florida with his wife, 2 daughters, and a girl bunny named Ella. Welcome, Graham.
Oh man, I'm surrounded by females in my house, so that's hence the bio.
Yeah, my dad can relate. 4 girls.
Wow.
5 girls. So he could totally relate to you.
Wow.
But I love that. I'm super, super excited to have you here.
Hey, I'm super pumped to be invited on the show.
You do realize that you are my very first interviewee.
I just found that out, and I'm like super honored, specifically that I beat out Rob Booker.
He's going to be on here next. I'm sure he's going to have some snappy comeback for you.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, but I'm excited. You guys, Graham is literally the nicest person you will ever meet. 10 minutes before this episode, he's messaging me, hey, did you send me the Zoom link yet? I'm like, nope. And by the way, can you help me figure out how to put our faces next to each other so that when I upload this to YouTube, we're both shown? He's like, yeah, no problem. So instead of just canceling, like say you don't know what you're doing, he's like, sure, I'll help you out. So I appreciate you so much.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I love that you just dive in. I think that's one of your strongest qualities, Chrissy. You just dive into stuff and you figure it out. You don't let that get in the way of you starting, which is a great quality to have.
Thank you. Yes, done is better than perfect. One of my favorite quotes. It's been a while since we have seen each other in person. We met at the Kajabi Summit, which we both use that platform and absolutely love it. And I don't know if you know, like before we came up to you, I was like with this little group. Do you know the scenario that happened?
All I remember hearing was that you guys were trying to guess what I did for a living.
Yes. So Kajabi is an online platform. So all of us there are building, using this platform to build our business online. And so I had met this little group of people and we were standing there and we saw Graham across the room in the little VIP party. And we're like, okay, we have to guess what, course he does. And so we were all taking guesses. I think someone did guess that you were like a rocker, like a musician or something. I think maybe Ryan.
Well, Ryan guessed, I think he told me he guessed that I owned hair salons.
Oh, that was it. That was
like, what?
That was it. You do have nice hair.
Oh, thank you. I guess I was trying to read the compliment in there. I was like, I've never owned a hair salon, and that's a first for me.
So. Oh my God. Amazing. Cool. Well, I'm so excited to have you here. Let's dive in because we're going to talk about YouTube. Now, I didn't say this in your intro, but you on your Recording Revolution YouTube channel, you have over 500,000 subscribers. That's like a pretty big deal.
In our little niche, in the audio niche, it is a big deal. There's YouTubers, and I have friends that are like legit YouTubers, quote unquote, that have millions of subscribers. So in the YouTube world, it's somewhat small-ish, but for our random niche, especially a hobbyist niche, it's pretty large, and it's been crazy to see it grow from where it was. It's been 10 years now of making videos. So it was a slow growth. It wasn't anything viral, but it was just hanging in there and making videos for a decade.
Awesome. Well, I have 2 subscribers. So, you're beating me out for sure. For sure on that one. All right, we're going to dive in. I'm going to ask you some questions about YouTube, selfishly, because I'm putting these podcasts up on YouTube. I don't know anything about YouTube. So I want to find out for myself, and I know my audience is going to want to find out as well. So it's like a win-win here. My first question is, who should use or leverage YouTube? Because there's so many different, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest. How did you know that you were going to turn to YouTube?
So I started using YouTube out of necessity because I wanted to show some stuff on my computer screen, like do some screen capture of the software that I use in this recording studio. So it'd be like showing how to use Photoshop to somebody. If you're a photographer, I was showing the audio version of that. And so video made sense. And I just needed a place to upload my video so I could embed it in my blog 10 years ago. Like that's as non-strategic as how I started using YouTube. But the behind that was, well, I'm already blogging and writing articles. And if Google is the number one website visited in the world every single day, what's the number two visited website in the world every day? And that's YouTube. Because people use it like a search engine. They just use it to search for stuff. So um, I got more strategic as the years went on, but the only thing I knew at the beginning was I need to at least be where people are looking for stuff. And I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions I hear when I talk about YouTube a lot, because I leverage YouTube for both my brands now, but YouTube has been really good for me. And when I mention YouTube, I think people start to picture like stupid challenge videos, or they think it's all just video gamers playing video games and people watching them playing video games, or it's just music videos, or I don't know what comes to mind when they think of YouTube, but they don't think of like a legitimate business using YouTube. And they say, I don't want to make stupid videos or funny videos, or I'm not funny. And it's like, I'm not that funny either. Or am I making stupid videos? There's a whole nother way to look at YouTube, which is, I think, the way we all think of it without realizing, which is how do you do stuff? Like you get on YouTube to learn how to fix your toilet or fix your car or whatever it is. You get on it just as a utility. And if everyone's getting on YouTube to look up how to do something as a utility, that's a great place that business can show up. And so that's how I use and view YouTube.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I love the, how to. So like if you can teach someone how to do anything, and it doesn't have to be like I literally need the camera to be showing it, like you can still verbally show people how to on YouTube. And the number one thing is you get to see face to face. And that just builds trust so much faster if you can see someone. And so YouTube is, you can do those things on Instagram and Facebook and all of that, but YouTube kind of gives you that ability to do that in another way. So
well, and another element to YouTube, let's compare it, because your question was good. Compare it to Facebook and Instagram, because I like both of those platforms, and you can use video on both of those platforms too. The problem with Facebook and Instagram are that the content disappears or gets buried in your feed, and it's not very searchable.
right.
Whereas YouTube, Pinterest is good like this too. Pinterest is very searchable. So things like tools like Pinterest or YouTube allow for the one video you make, the one time you created some content, to be evergreen, to live on forever and send web traffic to you forever, because it's all keyword based, it's all search engine based, which is really good for a business. Again, we don't need to be influencers, we don't need to be viral, we just need to be found on the internet to grow our businesses, to get leads. And so I look at where can I leverage my time and make a piece of content and have it serve me every single day for the rest of my life. And YouTube is one of those platforms where your content lives on forever and is very findable and discoverable.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that comparison of, one's really searchable and the other one isn't. Because you if you're looking for your ideal client that's going to generate more sales, you want to find the perfect person. You don't want just anyone coming. So if someone's, trying to find a trainer or wants to come to your gym and they want, squats, they want to learn more about squats, and they find you because you're teaching them how to do squats the right way, like they're going to find you. They're going to be your ideal client. So I really like that kind of comparison and the difference of choosing your platform. Love that. That leads me to content, putting content out there. How often do you need to put content out there? I think that's something that held me up. Like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to think of things on the regular and put it up there. Am I going to have to do it every day? What did you do? I know you did a lot. You did a lot every week. But so what are your tips for us on that?
Well, yeah, I did a lot because I'd lost a job in the recession. So I had a lot of free time on my hands. So If you have a lot of time, put out a lot of content. If you don't have a lot of time, I tell people once a week minimum. You really need something once a week, especially with YouTube, um, because you want to just view it as like a TV show, just like your podcast. Like if your podcast can come out regularly every week and they know when to start to expect episodes, that builds engagement because people like look for something every week. Now, some people are putting out content every day. There's YouTubers that I'll follow that literally put out a video every day of the week. Now, this means that they've got to be full time because this takes a lot of time to do. And they're trying to grow really, really quickly. And also they make their money off of ad revenue and sponsor deals, more than likely. If you have a real business, and that's not to say that's not a real business, but if you have a product or service, I think you have more control. And I think then you don't have to have the pressure to put out as many videos because your goal is different than the YouTuber trying to get millions of views. Your goal is just to, like you said, Christy, attract the right customer and have like a system in place that funnels them into your email list and hear about your products and services, and you're using YouTube to find them. Then once a week is your goal. If you can do more than that, great, but don't do any less than once a week. And if you look at it as once a week, then, that's about 50 videos a year, 52 technically, but let's say 50. So you kind of break it up to over the course of a year, can I come up with 50 videos? And I always tell people to think about content buckets. Like, what are your kind of categories? And if you don't have categories, think about what categories you basically could slot your content in. What are the 4 or 5 main topics you tend to talk about? And if you had 5, could you come up with 10 ideas for each category and bullet those down on a napkin or in a Google Doc, and then kind of almost have mapped out a year's worth of content when you break it down like that? And then it's really just a matter of getting one out a week and getting the habit of discipline, because the content game is a discipline game. It's, can you have longevity? Can you consistently put out something every single week for a year, for 5 years, for 10 years? Anybody can pump out a bunch of videos when they've got free time in between jobs, and then they lose momentum and they move on to something else. But YouTube, Google, any of these search out engine algorithms love consistent channels and consistent resources because they view them as more relevant because they keep putting out fresh stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And it tells your customer, like, again, it helps them trust you because they want you to be there for them. So if you come and go and you disappear, they're like, okay, moving on to the person that's showing up every week, or day in and day out, or, once a month, whatever it is, and you decide that you do. But yeah, consistency is just huge. So what, and I love your buckets thing. I've heard you talk about that before. I think on one of your other podcasts or in your coaching group that I'm in. And you said you take a weekend and you go away, and I was like, oh, I'm doing the bucket thing just because I want a weekend away. Perfect. Get away from the kids. Like, maybe I'll bring my husband. Like, he can do whatever he wants. So I decided, just because I get to take a weekend away, that I'm going to go do the buckets thing. Not that you have to go away to do the buckets thing. But I thought that was genius. And it just took the overwhelm out of my brain to think of like, oh my gosh, I got to think of 52 things. Well, wait, yeah, if I think of 4 categories, 5 categories, and I just have to think of 10 or 12 in that, oh, that seems easy. I could definitely write down 12. So love, love, love that tip. So I'm going to kind of full circle back to the searching thing. So once you have your content and you put it up there, what are your tips that you found over, the last 10 years on making sure that your content is searchable or getting in front of the right people? Because I know that, you put a title, there's a little blurb, so what are your tips on that?
Yeah. So instead of trying to like outthink the algorithm, just think like a human. Think like the way you search for stuff online on YouTube specifically, because YouTube, again, is trying to create the most relevant search results. That's how they win. So think about what YouTube wants, right? Everything's a business. Everybody wants something. YouTube wants eyeballs. They want you to spend all day long on YouTube watching because they can sell ads.
Right.
And so they're competing with Netflix. They're competing with Amazon Prime. They're competing with Hulu for eyeballs. That's really what YouTube is doing. They just want to keep you watching. And you won't keep watching if you're not finding what you're looking for. right? So when you search something, you better find videos that you click on and you keep watching for a while, which shows YouTube that, oh, they liked what they clicked on. And then they better send you relevant, like, hey, you would also like these videos. If it's not relevant to what you want as a user, YouTube is failing. And so all that to say, YouTube cares about human relevancy. So you don't have to think too hard. You just have to think about, what is your niche? Within your niche, what are people, real humans, actually typing into YouTube? Like, what would you actually type into YouTube? So if you're a fitness instructor, like, what words are they actually typing? So there might be generic terms like weight loss or how to lose weight, but are there specific products that they're looking up reviews on? Or are there specific techniques or diets that are trendy that they're actually typing in? So if I was a fitness instructor, I would have a bajillion videos on keto. Even if I thought keto was stupid, I would tell the world how stupid keto is, because people are typing in keto into YouTube. So you don't have to be that creative. You just have to think about, when you're thinking about your content and your buckets, don't just cover everything you want to cover. Do that, but also think about the words people are typing in to YouTube. So I'll give you an example. So the Recording Revolution is the bigger YouTube channel. And then a year and a half ago, I started my business coaching brand officially, right? So brand new channel. Nobody knows that I exist on YouTube in this world. It's totally different stuff. So there's no traction yet with my channel. One of the questions I keep getting as a business owner, or people who know me, or then now as a business coach, is like, should I be a sole proprietor or should I create an LLC? And it's like a basic question. And it's a good question. And there's a lot of smart people trying to answer that question, and it can easily go over your head because you're just like, I don't understand.
Right.
So I felt like I could answer that question to my audience in a way that, like, normal humans could understand what would be the benefit of an LLC over a sole proprietor, or what are the differences, etc. So I had it in one of my content buckets just to answer that question. And I also thought it was very searchable because people probably typing in LLC versus sole proprietor, or in any combination. So I did that one video 6-7 months ago, maybe a year ago now, actually. And again, nobody found it because I'm not a big channel. But over time, about 3-4 months into the video's existence, because of those words being very typed all the time into YouTube, my video started to getting shown up into search results. And because it was a helpful video and a relevant video, people liked it, engaged with it. And then now it's just spun into this perpetual cycle where it's shooting tons of traffic my way. And that video is accounting for probably 40% of my web traffic from YouTube right now. It's not my favorite video. It's not what I talk about a lot, but it was relevant to what people are looking for. So that all goes back to just, when you're thinking about content, always think about it from the perspective of, what would real humans in your niche type into YouTube? If you haven't started YouTube, that's the only place you can start to have some insight into what might work. Once you've started putting out videos on YouTube, then there's some things we can look at in your analytics to give you more clues as to what you should do more of.
Okay. And so comparing that again back to like Facebook and Instagram. So with Facebook and Instagram, it's definitely like, you want to have the most eye-catching, title or the first line. So it might not even really be, I guess my point is, the difference is that, or my question to you is, it's not necessarily about what's the most shocking, like for your title, like what you would think of like for an email subject, like you want them to click on it to open it. So you're going to do like the shock value. So thinking less of that and more of, what are the keywords that someone would be searching to find this specific content?
Yeah, the keywords are the most important because it's all about showing up in search results. And then if say I did a video on an LLC versus sole proprietor, I better use those keywords at the beginning of my title. The first couple of words of your title are weighted the heaviest. And in your description, your video description, again, the first few words are usually weighted the heaviest. So it's not overthinking it, but yeah, it's using the keywords strategically in your title. You do want to stand out, but I don't think you need to try that hard. I think being clear is the most important thing on YouTube, because again, if someone's looking about how to fix, the AC on a Honda Civic, like a 2012 Honda Civic, like if your video title has how to fix the AC in a 2012 Honda Civic, that's exactly what they're looking for. They're not looking for shock value. They're not to be like, new surprising truth about how to fix your AC on a 20. You don't have to be that crazy, although that is a tactic some people use, but I have very straightforward titles for most of my videos, but I do try to make titles that I would want to click on. So I don't want to make boring titles, and I try to think about ways to say them strategically. So in a way, it's very similar to any platform. You're trying to get clicks, but the key with YouTube is, and this is a big shift, in the olden days, they weighted the algorithm heavy on views and view count. So if you're a channel or a video that has a lot of views, they think you're relevant, and they would throw you up higher in the search results, which meant people would do all kinds of clickbait just to get a click. Because if you got 1 second of a view, right, it counts as a view, and then it could not be what they're looking for, and then now you still win the game. And so YouTube got smart, and they said, views aren't what matter. What matters is what they call watch time. How many minutes on average of your videos do people watch? Do they keep watching? So now if you can keep people watching, you will get ranked higher. So that's literally a metric that you can track in your analytics in YouTube, is watch time. And that's the currency of YouTube these days. And so there's different ways to keep people watching. Again, the shock value YouTubers will try to do crazy things in their videos and keep changing up the images, and it's a weird vlog, and it makes you like not want to look away because you just don't know what's going to happen next. That's one tactic. Or on the other side, you can just provide a relevant answer to someone's question and not be boring, but be relevant. And it doesn't mean you have to be short either. In fact, longer videos are better because the more minutes you can get them to watch, the higher you rank. So it's all about relevant answers and connecting with them. Like you said, trust. Like this is what's good if you have any form of personality. Again, you don't have to be a specific type of a personality. There's a lot of different personalities that can win. But if you can get people to like you on camera, even if your niche is like my boring audio recording niche, like there's people that are smarter than me and more talented than me in that niche, but they're boring. And so they're not fun to watch. Now, I'm not really exciting either, but I feel like at least I'm like a human being talking to you like a human being, answering your question in a really approachable way. People, they either like me or don't like me. If they don't like me, they leave. But if they like me, they're like, oh, I like this guy. And they'll watch more of my videos. And that helps me create more watch time. So it's really all about, same thing with social media. Can you connect? But it's where do you want to spend your time to get the most bang for your buck, to drive the most traffic? Because at the end of the day, and this is what I love about what you're trying to do, Christy, is you're trying to help people build their businesses. We're not trying to build like our vanity metrics. So big followings are only nice if they help us have a big business. Right. So I don't care what my following is as much as I care about using the tool to drive traffic, to hear about my products and services, to hopefully convert and buy, so then I make money and they're served, and then we can keep the cycle going. So you don't have to have a big following to pull that off on YouTube. You just have to have an intentional content strategy and curate a little audience that's, like you said, the perfect fit for what you're offering.
Right, exactly. So the ideal customer for sure. And I'm going to touch right back on this because you mentioned it when you were talking about getting people to engage longer. You want to be talking about something that's relevant to them. And you said you were getting the same question from people on the LLC, first, whatever. I don't know if it's the same as S corp, but whatever. The whole legal thing. I did an LLC, obviously. I know LLC. But they were asking you that question. And so you knew, okay, I should talk about this. So you knew that they would be interested. So if you're communicating and connecting with your audience and finding out what they want to learn about, and so you're talking about something relevant, they will come listen, and they will listen for the whole time. If you're like, nobody's asked me about this thing, but I really want to talk about it, and so you talk about it, they're gonna be like, we don't care about that topic, and they won't listen, and then you won't have your listening time up, watch time up. So just wanted to touch on that a little bit more. All right, let me see. I had a few other questions. Okay, video. Obviously, video is different than audio. So visually, and you kind of talked a little bit about, if you have a personality, that helps. But what about lighting, microphone, camera? Across your 10 years, what have you found that makes a big difference? Like, oh, this camera versus this camera, lighting versus not. What are your tips on that?
Yeah. So if you ever want to feel better about yourself, just go to the Recording Revolution's YouTube channel, sort the videos by date, and watch the oldest videos. and laugh at Graham circa 2009. Those videos looked awful. There was no lighting. I shot them at night. The camera was like an old camcorder. It was awful. But they worked, which kind of shows that the content matters more than the quality of the video. Although a lot of creatives and visuals I talk to struggle to hear that because they really care about the visuals. And I do too, because I'm a creative at heart. But if you had to break it down to the two things that matter most with video quality is lighting and audio. So the camera doesn't matter as much. These days, your smartphone, your iPhone, any smartphone is amazing. But usually they're only amazing if the lighting's good. So either if you have a window with natural light, face the window. And so if you have a house with a simple window, like that would be the great thing to do, is just face the window so that your camera's got the best opportunity to look its best. So natural light is great. If you don't have natural light, like back home in my recording studio, there's like no windows. It's just a dark cave. And so I have to use artificial light. And you can just get a ring light. And they even have clips that your iPhone can go in the middle of the ring light. Those are great. Those are like those model lights. I mean, like they use them for makeup artists all the time because it's a real soft, if you're close to it, it's a real soft white light that just looks amazing. And makes your teeth look really
exactly. You can always tell if someone's using it because if you look in their eyes, you can literally see the ring
Absolutely.
light in their eyes. So you're like, oh, they're using a ring light or they're using some kind of professional lighting, which is like, people don't care. Like as long as you look good overall.
Dude, I love the ring light. It's amazing. If you only have room for one light right in front of you, that's the best way to do it. Because the camera can literally go in the middle of it. So you don't have to, in a small space, it's a great tool and it makes you look great and it makes your teeth look white, which is nice. But if you don't have a ring light or want to go cheaper, there's a great company called Wistia and they create like video hosting software, but they have a great blog with lots of tips on how to get great looking video because they're all videographers and they've got a great blog article. And maybe you can, I don't know if you do show notes, but we could try to link to it, but they have a DIY lighting kit for $100 that they get at Home Depot. Okay. So they take you to a hardware store and they show you how to buy like a couple of things to create a 3-light system with 2 lights in front of you, one on your back, sort of lighting up the thing on the wall behind you. It looks amazing. And so I've used that lighting setup as well. And that's only $100 at like a hardware store. So lighting is worth figuring out. But once you figure it out once, either the room you're going to film in the time of day, or if you create your own lighting system, once you figure it out, it's always going to look great. So lighting is number one. But audio is so important. So you don't have to have an amazing microphone. I just mean a dedicated microphone. So if I'm going to use my iPhone and it's like in a clip in front of me, it's probably too far away from me to use that built-in audio because it'll pick up the sound of my room more than the sound of me. So there's little, lav mics that you can clip on your shirt or your blouse that are $50 that you can record right into your iPhone, or if it's too far away, you can plug it into, if you have a camera, you can plug it into your iPhone and record the audio on here and sync it up later. You're talking about $50 and it'll capture audio closer to you, which will sound way more professional.
Yeah.
And
I think
they've done the studies
was $20 and it was night and day. I could plug it into my computer and it just pinned to my shirt and my hair is long. So I could pin it under and my hair could literally sit over it. You didn't even see it. And it was night and day different. Sorry.
Yeah, that's it.
You're about a study.
Oh yeah. Well, they've done studies on where they try to show videos to people and on YouTube and see like when they click away and what they click away for. And they would compare like an HD video, beautiful quality with crappy audio versus a crappy quality video with really good audio. And people would click away from the great looking video with crappy audio faster than they would the crappy looking video with great audio. Right. Which is great. It's great for an audio guy like me. I'm like, yes, audio matters. But it's true because anybody these days can make a good looking video because the technology is crazy, but nobody thinks about the way their microphone should sound or if they even should plug into a microphone. And the moment you hear something that's just done on their iPhone, you tell it's in a bedroom. It does not sound professional. And so people will go, don't trust it. When it only takes $20 to $50 for a little microphone that's on you or close to you, to make you sound professional. Like you don't have to have $1,000 microphone. So lighting and a microphone are the biggest differences. You're talking about maybe $20 all in if you just have a window and you get a $20 microphone, maybe $150 if you buy some lighting stuff at Home Depot and a $50 mic. Your videos will look and sound amazing.
Yeah, I love that. And while we encourage you to do that, don't let that stop you from just taking action. Because like you said, you got started with a crappy looking video, and the key there is that you did it. You got started. You didn't wait till it was perfect. You just got it done. And you evolved and you grew from there. And it's same with me in this podcast. We're on episode 6. Episode 100 is going to be way better than episode 6. But like you have to start somewhere. And when you mentioned, 2009 in your video, I remember one of my videos, teaching people about how to use natural products with their kids. I was postpartum, so overweight. I don't even think I had a bra on. I had this like big sweater on. I just went live in like a local group with like people, that loved me, knew me. No makeup, messy ponytail, looked horrific, bad lighting. I don't even remember if I used a microphone. But people started sharing it like crazy because the content, the value was good. They didn't care what I looked like or the lighting, and so it was like, oh man, gosh, like that's not the most flattering video, but it didn't matter what it looked like. The words that I was saying, what was coming out was really good and people loved it. So don't let the fact that you don't have some decorated background. This is like, if you're watching this on YouTube, this background is brand new. This is not what my videos look like even 3 months ago. White wall cabinet hanging behind my head, like not attractive. But it just evolves. So just get started somewhere. Grab your phone, grab your headphones.
Absolutely.
Headphones are great. I've listened to multiple podcasting episodes on how to, start a podcast, which has to do with audio too. And, they say, gosh, the new, on your cell phone, the new speakers are amazing. Grab your headphones. The speaker right there is amazing. So if that's all you have, just get started with that.
Again, which is one of your strengths, Chrissy, is that you know where the value is, and it's what you have to share, not in like the technical stuff. And so depending on who's listening to this and depending on which side of the fence you swing, that can be either encouraging and freeing or like really scary, because if you are being held back by the technology, that should be a freeing message. Like nobody cares about the technology as much as you think they do. They care about, can you help them or add value or not? So that's great if you feel like you can add value. If you are hiding behind the technology because you're afraid to actually start making videos and you're just like, screwing around on Amazon looking for the best reviewed microphone, like you might be hiding from the fact that you're afraid to share or you're afraid to get on camera. And that's a real fear too. And that's okay. But then just be honest with yourself that, hey, I need to focus on the content and I really need to help people out and not being focused on the technology. So it can be, as like some people are like, yes, that's good to know that it doesn't take a lot of money to get started. And other people are like, oh, that's how I'm convincing myself I'm not ready to start.
Right. Oh shoot, I got a lot of personal work to do here.
Yep.
Oh man. Okay, I have this written down. Maybe it's important, maybe it's not. But I think it's my last question. Maybe cover art, and it's not a very exciting question, but cover art. do you need cover art? Again, of course, I think if you just listen long enough to hear the last part, you don't have to start with cover art. But I notice you use cover art now you put your podcast episodes up on YouTube just like I do, and you've got cover art. So is it important? What do you use? Do you do it yourself?
So I do everything myself on Canva, which is like the godsend for people like me, right? Canva, canva.com. It's like a free image editing tool. And so you can use that to create thumbnails for YouTube videos. They literally have templates. So it's the right size. So YouTube thumbnails, you can design it however you want, drag and drop. Cover art for your YouTube channel. You could use it for your Facebook headers too, or Twitter headers, or whatever you want. So I use Canva for almost everything. I use it to create logos for products, to create images for Kajabi and for the products, the thumbnails there. So that's been a godsend. It's not the most important thing, but consistent branding is helpful. So when people stumble across your channel, just consistency from wherever they might find you online can make a big difference for sure. But you don't have to spend a ton of time or money on it. Just I use the same headshot of me on the website, on the podcast artwork, on the YouTube cover art for all those different things, so that they're like, oh, it's the same brand. I get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And it's an easy way to make yourself at least feel a little bit more professional, especially when you're just getting started. You're like, okay, I feel like I'm not a nobody, but like I want people to think I'm a somebody. And so it's like, oh, they took the extra time to do a cover on their, what did you call it? I mean,
Well,
I call
so
it cover art, but you call a YouTube thumbnail.
yeah, the thumbnail is the actual image that you see on the video. And so that is important. Again, think about the way you look at YouTube videos. If you're looking at how to fix your AC on your Honda Civic and it brings up 20 videos, if there's 3 that have very similar titles, so they must all be relevant, and 2 of them have like really weird looking thumbnails or the camera's kind of blurry, it literally is just YouTube grabbed a scene or a frame of the video versus the guy, there's a picture of him like pointing to his Honda Civic, and
Yeah.
it says, in letters, how to fix your AC, in 5 minutes or whatever. You're going to click on the one that the thumbnail is a little bit more appealing without even thinking about it. So it could be that it just at least has some intentionality. They made a thumbnail.
Right.
And then they made a thumbnail that's somewhat attractive, easy to read, not a lot of small text. Like, again, these thumbnails are going to look tiny. A lot of times people are just watching YouTube on their phone, so the thumbnail is going to be super tiny. So it has to be real big text, few words, if any. And so I think thumbnails are important, but don't overthink them. Again, the content is most important, but a relevant title and an attractive thumbnail, and call it a day.
Yeah, because you're finding people that have no idea who you are in the
They
beginning.
don't.
So yeah, if so you can use that to build a little bit more trust a little bit quicker, you're going to get another subscriber, I think.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, thank you so much. This has been really fun. I'm
Yeah.
so excited that you were my first guest, and you killed it. You were awesome. I think people are going to get a lot of good little nuggets where they can just get started, take action. You can look for another YouTube video on how to actually upload your video to YouTube. We didn't cover that, but I'm sure you can find one out there if you're like newbie. But I'd love to leave the audience with a few maybe resources from you that you want to recommend that they check out. What are you, podcast, book, audio book, what are you listening to and finding value in that you want to pass along to everybody?
Oh yeah. I mean, I tell you, one of the best books out there on business is The Go-Giver by Bob Berg and John David Mann. But The Go-Giver, which is kind of a play on the term being a go-getter,
Yeah.
and it's a little parable. So it's like written like a little short story. You can read it in an hour, and it's written for salespeople and entrepreneurs. And it's a book about changing your mindset towards getting the sale. And I usually like action books versus concept books, but this is one of the best concept books out there about the power of generosity and not always trying to hold on so tightly and trying to fight for every sale. And it relates to YouTube and being online so much because in today's landscape, you have to give first. I mean, I feel like that's always been the case for good businesses, but like the Chick-fil-A in the mall when you're a teenager and they're handing out samples, like they're giving you free Chick-fil-A and then you're going to go, God darn it, I need some Chick-fil-A.
Right.
It's the same. And then when you go to Costco and your kid's like, Mom, can I get the sample? Like they're giving it for free. Almost like a drug dealer, give you a little taste and you'll
Right.
come back. But it, in a way, like online, and this is kind of a huge stance I have. If I can go on a quick like tirade, there's 2 different ways to look at how to make sales online. And one way is that you buy eyeballs, and so you buy them by running ads. And the idea is to interrupt, because that's what ads are. So whether it's a Facebook ad or anything like that, and it's not that these are bad tools, but the nature of them is they're interruption tools. Show up when no one's expecting you or looking for you, and you're like, hey, you're on Facebook, but you should check out my thing. And hopefully that it's a strategic enough campaign, attractive enough, and it gets eyeballs, and eventually they hear about your stuff and buy it. That's one method. The method that I prefer is the Go-Giver kind of talks about this, even though it's focused on a salesman in this story, this fictional story, who learns these 5 laws of success from this mentor. But I think content where you take time out of your day to create a video or a podcast or an article for free. That's helpful. That goes out in the world with no promise of making any money off of it because it's actually free. If you commit to that kind of strategy, it really is a lead generation strategy because they watch your videos, they read your articles. They could be listening to your podcast right now and realize, man, this Chrissy girl is really sharp. I like her. I've learned a lot from her. She's given me so much for free. Then if you offer something for purchase, coaching, a product, services, they already know you. They already like you. They've already gotten value from you. So you're already proven to them. It's going to be so much easier for them to say yes to spend money with you because you've given to them first. And I like it because it puts the risk on us, the business owner and the content creator, to actually like deliver value first instead of asking them for money. Who are we to ask them for money? We may believe our product's good, but we haven't proven ourselves to them. So I kind of like this generosity model where I have to give, knowing that I don't necessarily gain anything in return guaranteed.
Yeah.
But I've seen after a decade of doing this and now doing it in 2 different niches that it works. You develop trust, authority, credibility. People like you. They share your stuff. They become marketing for you. And it costs nothing but your time. And it's time well spent because it will pay dividends in the future.
Love that. So episode 5, the episode we just did last week, talks about giving away free information content. We talked about an opt-in. So being able to, collect someone's email. So how do you incorporate that? Because that's so important so that you can, again, you wrote a blog. So like sending it out in email or letting people know the new podcast is out in their email, in their inbox, right in front of them. How do you do that through YouTube? Like where are you using your opt-in link in YouTube? Where is that showing up? Can you tie the two together for everyone? Because I think after last, episode 5, they're kind of wondering, okay, Chrissy taught me how to do this opt-in. And now I think I do want to use YouTube because I do really want to do video to teach people or give them more education on this topic that will lead them to my product. So how do you get them to opt in from YouTube?
That's a great question. And that's a distinction on how I use YouTube versus YouTubers. YouTubers want to keep people on their YouTube videos. I actually want them to leave and opt into my email list because I know that's where I can connect with them more deeply and eventually sell them my products. So every video, I always end or sometimes begin and end on camera by mentioning my opt-in, the freebie. And usually, and it works if it's a relevant opt-in. So if I'm teaching you about how to write sales copy, let's say, to that converts, at the end of that video, I'll say, hey, if you're trying to figure out like even what products to put together and buy or how, like what tools to use or how to actually automate the sales process, I have an entire passive income workshop that you can watch for free. You should check it out. So I'll mention the relevant lead magnet in the video on camera, and I'll always link to it as the first thing in the description. So when you write what the video is about, if you write a long, flowery description, YouTube will just chop off most of it and you just see the first couple lines. And if people want to click the show more or see more button, they will, but most people don't. So I want the opt-in to show up above the fold, as it were. So that's the first thing I talk about, like get access to my 4 steps to creating your first $1,000 a month of passive income link. Boom, right below the video. So I always mention it in the video, put it in the description. And then when you get your YouTube channel they change the requirements, but maybe it's like 1,000 subscribers. Once you hit that element, you can then add end screens, which is a clickable thing that pops up on your video that can link wherever you want to link to, that's where you want to link to your opt-in, your freebie. And you can have cards, which are those little teaser things that pop up in the video, and you can have teaser text like, hey, want to get my free 3-step guide on whatever. So I'll use cards and end screens that are clickable, that they can click away and it can take you to any website you want them to go to. So it'll take them to my Kajabi landing page where they can see more details about the opt-in and they can type in their email address, because that's where, and this is why YouTube is so powerful, because it's evergreen, kind of bring it full circle, is you make a video in your niche that's super awesome that YouTube finds relevant and serves up to a lot of people over the years. It may not go viral, but if it just gets eyeballs and they like the video, they hear about your freebie, and they have something they can click on either in the description or in the video, and it leads away from YouTube. They opt into your email list, and now they hear about your products because you've written a good email funnel. Now you can make money automatically without even doing anything, or at least build your audience that you can market to when you have a promotion automatically, because all the tools are serving you and getting people on your email list. So you can see how it all is relevant. That's why I focus so much on making more YouTube videos, because it helps me grow my email list, which helps me sell.
Yeah, I basically just realized I have a few more things I need to do on my YouTube channel. You guys are going to have to, like, so if you're listening on podcast, you have to go over to YouTube, find this episode, and then rate me on how well I applied Graham's tips to this video. Megan, if you're listening, who helps me, she's going to help me.
Well, and a little previews. We're recording this on a Monday. In 2 days, Chrissy, I've got a whole masterclass for our community on YouTube. So I'm gonna literally pull back the curtain on the analytics on my YouTube channel and show you how to do all this. So we can go deep on that video later this week for you.
Perfect. I'm going to get the insider. If you guys want
Yeah.
the insider, you got to go follow Graham, get into all of his things. It'll be amazing. We'll be students together. Love it. Well, thank you. I'm glad we got into that last little topic, because I was literally, something you said made me think of it. And I was like, crap, I want to go back and ask this question. That's going to feel so amateur if I let's close out. And then I'm like, wait, I got another question. So you literally, I think you were reading my mind. You literally did it for me. It was amazing. All right. So how can everyone follow you? If they want to connect with you, if they want to follow you, if they want more of your amazing insight, how can they find you?
Yep. If you do podcasts, the Graham Cochrane Show on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts, or go to grahamcochrane.com. All the content is there. And then I hang out most online on Instagram at the Graham Cochrane.
Awesome. Love it. Love it. So if you guys found value in this, give us a little like. If you're on YouTube or wherever, subscribe to the podcast, subscribe to YouTube, wherever you're listening to this. And then if you wanted a little bit more insight on how to create that opt-in to plug into your YouTube to collect that email, you can go over to thechrissichin.com, and that is my freebie for you. I'm going to take you through the simple 5 steps on how to create that, to collect and grab that audience of ideal customers that you want, that will generate sales. So there you go. And send me a message if I don't put that link right in the YouTube description, right? Or in the podcast show notes, all the things. So thank you, Graham, so much for being here. This was really fun. And you shared a ton of valuable information. So thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, Chrissy. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Bye-bye.